Hello, I'm Patty Duke Aston. The book you see here is The Story of My Life by Helen Keller. In 1959, I played Helen Keller, the child. She was blind, deaf, and mute for a time until a teacher named Annie Sullivan came to teach her. All odds were against them. Everyone told them it was impossible, that Helen could not be reached. They never gave up the faith in the human spirit that they could succeed, and they did. Helen said out loud at the age of, I believe, 11 years old, "I am not dumb now." Dumb is a funny word. I hear my children say it. Sometimes it means stupid. Sometimes it means you can't talk. Sometimes people feel dumb. They think people don't understand, that they're in pain, that nobody loves them. It's my understanding that the Crisis Prevention Center is there 24 hours a day for anyone who's feeling worthless. We were born for a reason, in my opinion. We belong here, and we're all here to help each other. And there are people there to help people who, in the darkest hours, think that it's not worth it. That, oh, life is too hard and we really ought to get out of here and forget about it. It really is worth it. We've all known depression, anger, frustration, pain. I've learned that if people communicate with each other, on whatever level that is, whatever level we can find that works for us for the moment, with love and understanding, that life is worth living, because you never know what's going to be there tomorrow that might just turn it all around for you. So, in case any of you who are watching this feel really badly, sometimes feel that nobody cares, try to remember that somebody, somewhere, really does. Make a phone call, if that's necessary, rather than taking the ultimate way out that really doesn't work for anyone. Thanks for listening, and good luck to all of you.
This is for all the lonely people, thinking that life has passed them by. Don't give up until you drink from the silver cup and ride that highway in the sky. This is for all the single people, thinking that love has left them dry. Don't give up until you drink from the silver cup. It'll never take you down or never give you up. You'll never know until you try.
The day I shot myself was just an ordinary day at school. I was feeling really good. It was the beginning of spring and baseball was just about to start. When I came home, my sister was washing the car, and she told me I had to help her. But I couldn't. I had to go sign up for baseball. It was the last day. My parents were out of town at the time, and my sister had said I was going to be in a lot of trouble when they got back, because I wasn't helping out. We both started pushing and shoving each other around. And then I hit her. That was the first time in my life I've ever hit anyone. We had a housekeeper staying with us at the time while my parents were gone. I knew everyone was going to believe my sister. Everyone believed her instead of believing me. My sister was good-looking, smart. Everybody liked my sister. Everything she did was right, and everything I did just seemed to disappoint my parents. I started crying and ran upstairs to my room and spent a half an hour just thinking about a lot of different things. I never really talked to anyone about my feelings. I always just kept them inside me. My father didn't believe in crying and always taught us to control ourselves, and that was something I always tried to do. We used to go everywhere together, do everything together, until I turned 13. He said I was a girl now, and that I had to start doing girls' things. While I was sitting there crying away, all of a sudden I remembered something my mother had said to me quite a while ago. We were arguing, and she was very upset, and she told me she didn't love me. I didn't think she'd say something like that unless she meant it. I guess I just didn't understand what things she was going through when she said that to me. I just couldn't accept staying there anymore, and I knew I had to stay right where I was. And when you're 13, you don't think you're going to be 14 until another 500 years. I decided the only way to get away was to get out of life, and that was my answer. When I decided to kill myself, I decided to do it right away. My parents happened to have a gun in the house, just down the hallway. I went, got the gun, and then shot myself. Right after I shot myself, I didn't want to die. I really didn't want to die at all. And I remember saying to my sister, I'm going to die. And my sister said, no, you're not. But I just said, I shot myself in the heart. And my sister said, you're going to be all right. And I was really glad to hear her say that. I rode alone in the ambulance. There was no one with me. My sister was busy phoning my parents. I woke up 2 days later in the hospital after my operations. My family was beside my bed, and no one really understood what happened.
I read the news today, oh boy, about a lucky man who made the grade.
Sometimes I get this really sick feeling, you know, like a big lava dome was swelling up inside my gut. My whole body was going to explode all over the place. I really couldn't handle that feeling. I'd just get in my car and drive around out of control.
He blew his mind out in a car. He hadn't noticed that the lights had changed. A crowd of people stood and stared. They'd seen his face before. Nobody was really sure if he was from the house of God.
All my life, you know. It didn't matter what I did. I always screwed up. I didn't wash. I went around in grubby clothes. I didn't do a lot of things like everyday normal people do. I just didn't give a damn about myself. And the more and more I hated myself, the more I'd screw up. And people would say to me, you know, one of these days you're going to kill yourself driving around like that. And I'd play tough guy with them and tell them where to go.
Woke up, fell out of bed, drank the coke across my head.
Looking up, I noticed I was late. Found my coat, I grabbed my hat, made the bus in second place. Found my way upstairs and had a smoke. Somebody spoke and I went into a dream.
For some reason, I was always trying to hurt people, especially my family. And then afterwards, I'd feel like the scum of the earth. I kept asking myself why things had to turn out like that. Sometimes I'd be driving along and I'd get these morbid fantasies about driving over a cliff and exploding in midair. That would be the end of it all. But somehow I could never get the steering wheel to actually do it.
4,000 holes in Blackburn, Lancashire. And those holes were
You know, when I was driving around like that, it never really occurred to me that I might kill somebody else. I mean, when you're angry or you're down or you don't care if you live or die, you never think about other people. So when I approached the bridge and saw this truck coming, I got this weird sensation. It was a kind of relief, and I drove right at the truck without even thinking about it.
About a year ago, one of my best friends committed suicide. He was one of the guys. There was 4 of us that hung around and did everything together. His life ended quickly. His parents thought he was on his way to school. He was dressed. His mother made him his lunch. He was just set to go, and he slipped downstairs into the basement and shot himself in the head.
He wasn't ever the type of person you would think would go and commit suicide. You wouldn't think he was even depressed. He was always laughing and joking around, and I never thought he'd do it.
It shocked the hell out of everybody. There was no reason for him to do it as far as I could see. I know sometimes, you know, I have problems and stuff. I keep them inside of me, and you know, and I just try and think about myself, and sometimes it works, but when you get a big problem that just doesn't work, you have to tell somebody about it, you know, and I think this is one of the things, is there's a lot of problems that he had that we don't know about.
He did come from a wealthy family, a loving family. He was very talented, good-looking, went out with girls, a good athlete.
He looked so great on the outside, like he was happy all the time. And there was so much building in him that it sort of exploded.
It seemed after he didn't make the basketball team, which all the rest of his friends did, it seemed to trigger off a depression, and things began to get worse. He stopped attending classes regularly and started to fail his courses, and he stopped socializing with us. We used to always go out together, and he didn't want to have anything to do with us. There's obviously more to it than him just not making a basketball team and doing bad in school.
You get quite moody, I think, in your teens, because there's just so much changing. Your mind, your body. There's a lot going on. And a lot of growing up and a lot of still being a kid. And you don't know which way you're being pulled in both directions. It's like a wishbone, and you just don't know which way to go.
I think he'd been thinking about it for months, even years, maybe. And the circumstances were there to make him do it. He'd just been digging himself into a hole, it seemed like. He was negative towards himself, and it was an impulse reaction to kill himself then. But later on in the day, he might have thought, I'm glad I didn't do it. I think he would have.
Take them seriously. Listen to what they have to say. Just try anything you can to help them, to show them that nothing in this world is worth killing yourself. I think I've sort of learned more about death, like that's it, and you've got a lot more to live for than 16 years of your life. Nothing's worth ending your life or bringing hurt on other people. I mean, sometimes I think it's really taking the easy way out, and I think there are a lot better ways of handling problems.
Think about suicide. I guess it's the thing you don't want to think about. You don't want to think it's possible, but it is there, and it's happened to a lot of people.
People just, I think, hold back their emotions too much, and I think that's one thing I've learned. So when you're happy, be happy. And when you're sad, be sad. There's nothing wrong with it. Doesn't matter whether you're a girl or a guy. Cry if you want to cry. Everybody gets depressed once in a while. You're not the only one. And your life isn't over because of it. I think talking to friends in school is okay, but a lot of times they're not going to take you seriously. And maybe none of us were mature enough to sort of grasp the fact that he'd really do it. Even a teacher, there's always one teacher, I'm sure, in every school that somebody can talk to. I know last year when my friend died, we talked to one of the counselors, and she really helped. She really helped you cope with the problem. There's always somebody.
The day before he committed suicide, when he was leaving the school, he said maybe if I stayed in school, I'd still be able to graduate with the rest of you guys. And I think that was probably the time that I could have maybe changed the outcome. If suicide had occurred to me, I know damn well that I wouldn't have let him walk out of that school. Some of the symptoms that I failed to see, I see now, and when I read about other suicides, is depression and seclusion, drawing himself away from his friends, joking about suicide, and I guess what led to it was his talking of going away on a trip, and at the very end saying goodbye to everyone. All of us came to realize that life is too short. When you see someone so young, 16, die. Personally, since his death, I'm finding it hard to cope with growing up.
I really put a lot of importance on life now, I still don't think I really realize or grasp the thought that he's gone, that he's actually dead forever.
This is for all the lonely people, thinking that life has passed them by. Don't give up until